Welcome to Holistic Human Performance Podcast. My name is Gena Bradshaw, where we talk all things holistic health, wellness, spirituality, fitness, meditation, energetics, and so much more to help you become the healthiest version of yourself. Let's dive in. This is not medical advice. This is simply to help you on your journey through health, fitness, and wellness. I hope this helps. You can complement this with anything that you are doing currently in your life. Enjoy. It is finally here. After 2 years in the making, the HHP app is launched and ready to go. I am so excited. There's been so much blood, sweat, and tears put into this. I wanted to make this something where you can go to right at your fingertips to do wherever, whenever, to integrate a holistic health, wellness, energetic, and spiritual lifestyle. Whether it be on-demand videos, live stream classes, events. We have our community page for us to all interact with one another. We have the shop of holistic products. We have programs right at your fingertips. If you need one-on-one coaching or healings, right there as well. You can literally just click and set it up with yours truly. I'm also bringing on professionals from other industries to come in and speak to us about these certain things like astrology, human design, our functional integrative medical doctors, all different aspects of health, wellness, spirituality right at your fingertips. And you can do this wherever, whenever. I'm so excited for you to be a part of the community. I will see you inside. And guess what? You get a 5-day free trial. Try it out. See if you like it. Cancel whenever you want. I will leave the link in the show notes, and I will see you inside of the Holistic Human Performance app. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Holistic Human Performance Podcast. I'm your host, Gena Bradshaw Vitale. We have a very special guest with us today. We have Mike Dillon. He's the founder of Air Water Healing and VP of Self Wellness in Boynton Beach, Florida. Mike has dedicated himself to the in-depth study of medical microbiology and has curated innovative products advocating that improving your air and water quality along with restoring the body's balance through natural supplements is the key to achieving true health and well-being. We have a lot in common, so I'm really excited to get into this. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I love anytime we get to dig into holistic approaches because I think that is the only approach.
I'm with you on that.
Now, I do want to throw out there that when it comes to like car or trauma, that I maybe sometimes, yes, we can fit a surgeon in. There are places,
Right.
lots of good things are still done with people with medical degrees that aren't DOs or holistic
Right.
doctors.
Right. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I mean, I've had my own, medical history, but again, like when I look back, it's I just didn't know. I didn't know. I wasn't aware. I didn't learn all of these things like we're going to discuss today. And yeah, I grew up in a holistic family, but it was to a point, and then when I started really doing my own research, being an advocate for myself, I'm like, holy shit, why didn't I know this sooner? Why wasn't I taught this stuff? Like, we all need to have access to this and then give people the opportunity to choose. Everyone has their own free will. You make the choice.
100%. I mean, and that's like the old analogy, or the old saying, you can bring a horse to the water, but you can't force it to drink, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the more and more, dialogues and conversations and openness we have with each other, it allows people to see that there are other options, and sometimes the most simple organic option is the answer, and I think if you go and look at, you know, here's a topic that, I had on my podcast that I had earlier today.
Mm.
I was talking with a guy, and I said, if you would think, if modern medicine advancements, and we're not talking holistic, we're talking like allopathic medicine, if it was the greatest thing on earth and America consumes per person more pills and more capsules that are, written by doctors than any other country in the world, you would think that we would be number one in life expectancy. But we're not. We're not even in the
Right.
top 10. We're not in the top 20. You've got countries like Japan and South Korea and Sweden that are outliving us by almost a decade. And that to me really should have allowed people to be like, well, what are they doing holistically, or what are they not putting in their body that's allowing the same vessel, God created everybody with the same internal parts, mechanisms other than an XX or an XY. So
Right.
why is somebody on the other side of the pond outliving us by 10 years?
Right. Right. 100%. Yeah, these are the questions we need to like ponder on and ask ourselves and then get curious and start to like do your research. And I know it can be overwhelming, but that's why, people like us, come into play and we kind of guide, lead people, been through the ringer and back, which leads me into, so tell me about your story. What got you into learning about holistic health, and this type of lifestyle?
Okay, so this is a pretty simple one, but it's also like a fascinating one. So, um, I had the granola mom, growing
Got
up.
it.
Now they call them crunchy moms or whatever you want.
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to watch Nickelodeon. I wasn't allowed to watch like all the fun stuff. I'd have to sneak out when I wanted to go watch like Ren and Stimpy and make sure nobody was watching. But my mom was very cautious, not just from like I don't think it was just religious. I think it was more of like a holistic approach to what you were putting into your mind. And
Mm.
my mom grew up like living off the garden. So my mom, spent a lot of time in North Carolina. She was, ate off the land. And my mom, for some reason, I don't know how she found out about it, but my mom got into chiropractic care at a very young age.
Oh.
And I, for my entire life, do not ever remember receiving Tylenol. Like, if I was not feeling good, my mom would be like, your neck is out of alignment. You were jumping around on the trampoline too much, and we need to go see Dr. David. So, anytime I
Mm.
was sick or anytime I had a sports physical, we never went to the regular doctors. I was always going to the chiropractor, or my mom would call one of her holistic friends. And I remember very vividly in 2000, it was either 2004 or 2005. My mom had gotten really sick,
Mm.
and there was a hurricane that was coming, and she was worried about leaving. She didn't want us to leave. She didn't want to leave us, me and my sisters, and my dad was doing all of this like hurricane preparedness. My mom got on a plane, and I remember the look in her eyes. Like she looked frail, and she looked like she had one foot on on a banana peel, and the other foot was already in the grave, right? So
Oh,
like when you see that, and you're like,
that's
okay,
tough as a kid. Yeah.
you're like this may not end up very well. And my mom checked herself into a health resort ran by a lady named Ann Wigmore. It was OHI, a health and healing resort out in California, and they focused on vibration,
Mm.
energy, clean, vegan, organic, raw produce, and changing your mentality. And whether it was 4 or 6 weeks, I can't really remember. But when my mom came back, she was a different person and she
Wow.
had a different vibrating. And I think everything that she did was so beautiful, other than when she tried to give me wheatgrass. I think she tried to get me to start drinking wheatgrass. And I was just like, if wheatgrass is the only answer, then I was like, Lord, I will see you soon because I don't and it's funny how now you get older. I've got like an $800 juicer and I go to Whole Foods and I'm getting wheatgrass and I'm just like I was like, all right, cool. Huh, wheatgrass enemas, that sounds cool. Let's try it. But it's just like and again, I'm just saying I'm open, but when you're younger, like you don't have that taste bud. My partner always tells me, she goes, you make the most yucky faces when you drink healthy stuff, when you take a break from doing it. But like as you start juicing more and more carrots and getting those fruits that are full of vegetables. So when my mom came back, I had already had a love for chiropractic, but I saw here's a woman who most people would have been like, you need to take this medicine. You need to take this medicine. You need to listen to your fibromyalgia doctor, and you need to listen to your blood doctor and start taking all these prescriptions. And she's like, there's got to be a better way.
Mm.
And it worked.
That's awesome. There has got to be a better way. Absolutely. And if more people could think like that, I think we would just be in a different place when it comes to our society because, you know, the fear mongering I think is what really gets to people. And it's really simple and basic and um I love that you also mentioned like vibrational frequency therapy that I I am really excited to see where that's going to go because there's a lot more research coming out about it. And it's like ancient wisdom. It's something our ancestors were doing. And now, science is kind of catching up to that. So I'm really excited to see where that's going to take us.
Look at the pyramids.
Yeah,
Pyramids. The pyramids were built with vibroacoustics. That's exactly what they did. They used instruments, and it was sacred geometry that was etched into the back of those stones. Doesn't matter. There's no other explanation that makes anything close to as vibrational. What they were able to do with vibroacoustics to be able to move things that big without the technology, unless you go into the conspiracy realm and say that
right,
there was ancient technology that was wiped out by a massive flood, which ties up with biblical. But
right.
when they say, "Oh man, there's absolutely zero way that ever could have happened," the vibration and the acoustic, and what we're now finding out about water, how water can be imprinted with frequencies, and
Mm-hmm.
the mechanism, and again, doctors will all disagree on the percentage. Some say we're 50%, some say 70%, some say we're 90% water, right? And if we are any of those numbers, and we're 70 trillion cells. Can you imagine if you start putting energized, good frequency water into your body on a daily basis?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where air water healing was born, because we got very, very sick of seeing all of the synthetic materials that were being put into supplements that are being put into plastic bottles. And I'm like, yeah, I know it costs a little bit more, but
Right.
if you go on our website, you will never see a supplement in a plastic bottle. Everything
I
we
I
sell
also I looked that up too. It's all glass. I love that.
Everything we put is in a Mylon glass jar. We use silicon droppers that come with a certified organic, and we have glass beakers that go down into it. Our products never touch plastic. All of the tubing that we use in on the manufacturing facility that they source, they use a natural material. They don't use any PVC, no plastic. They spend hundreds of thousands of dollars upgrading the equipment and using a natural blend for all of the tubing that they do, and the energetic work that they're putting into those frequencies. So Dr. Edward Group, who's a world-renowned humanitarian, just an incredible person. What he put into the microsomal technology, and if I could dig into that for just a second for your listeners,
Yeah.
when you go to like the big box stores, have you heard of liposomal?
Yeah.
So liposomal is usually 30 to 70% more expensive if you look at vitamin C, D3, or even zinc. The second that you put liposomal on it, it's a marketing term to say, hey, it's more bioavailable. It's gone through a process. Typically, they won't even disclose what the somal technology was, but they charge more money.
Mm.
What Dr. Group has done with all of his liquids is we're now making them microsomal. So we're taking the raw material and we're putting it into a bath with an avocado oil or an organic olive oil, all certified USDA non-heated, and then we hit it with frequencies. And those frequencies start to break apart the raw plant material, making like little lipids that envelop around the material, and it's it's
Mm.
it's between 150 to 200 times more bioavailable than liposomal, and we don't increase the price of our supplements. So you go buy our bottle of vitamin C that was all raw materials and all organic 26 months ago, and it was $30. It's still $30. We haven't increased the price, even though we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on developing these baths to put all of the raw plants into.
Right. That's amazing. I mean, the supplement industry is the Wild West. Like, it's crazy out there. I'm glad you just described like the process so that people can get an idea as to really what to look for when they are looking for supplements because just the environment that we're living in today's world, like you do need supplements because we're really not getting it from our food source, the soil, I mean, the air quality, all of the things. Let's get into like the air quality and the water.
Hmm.
For the listeners, like why is that so important? Because, for some people who are like just getting into this world, they're like, well, why does it matter? Like what's actually in the water? And, why do we need to care about the air and the quality of like using air filters in your home? So let's get into that.
So your podcast that you do is being recorded inside of a building. Okay, and you can see where I'm at. You can only see my backdrop, but I promise you, I'm inside of a building too,
Yeah,
with four walls, right? So if the average human being on this planet breathes 11,000 liters of air a day, which is a very accurate description, it's about 11,000 liters of air a day that we breathe. And if the average human being spends 80% of their life indoors, that means that only 20% of our breaths are taken outside, where the air is typically fresher. I mean, 10, 15 years ago, I would have agreed with that statement. But with what's
right,
happening now in the world, you've got Amazon trucks and diesel exhaust fluid and 877 million packages being delivered every single day,
right,
and us as humans, we don't click that box that says Amazon, you just make all my stuff come 3 days later and save the planet. Everyone's like, I want it tomorrow. I clicked it because it arrives tomorrow by 8 a.m.
right.
So you got all these extra trips. So inside of the house that is supposed to be our sanctuary, right? Like I've been a huge fan of, the idea of Robert F. Kennedy wanting to make America healthy again, right?
Yeah,
But I tell everybody it starts with mom, starts with dad in the
yes,
home. The Maha movement does not exist without us. We have to be the ones to make that conscious decision to watch what we're bringing in, watch how much alcohol your body is consuming, right? People talk about dry January. I think they should do dry every single month, right? You do them, do all of them, right?
agreed.
Any month that has a vowel in it, you should probably just not drink that month and start looking for single sourced ingredients. When you grab a carrot, you know what the ingredient is? It's a carrot. Okay. But when you get into the air quality, and this is something that, from the moment we're born, we do this involuntarily. We take that first breath of air. And if you're bringing synthetic things into your home, carpets that are off gassing, you've got varnish from wood furnishing, phenolphthalenes from carpets, you've got toxic asbestos. Everybody in the state of California right now, mark my words, what's going to happen with the cancer rate from all the people that have breathed in dioxins. And
Yeah,
I will say this on the record. Every man-made structure, when it is burnt down, it releases dioxins. And a femtogram, which is a millionth of a gram, gets into your bloodstream and it can wreak havoc on your immune system and it will lead to cancer if it's not corrected. So all of these things that we're constantly breathing in, we have to correct it because the point where the world has gone, we cannot supply every human being with organic material. We
yeah,
can't. We just can't keep up with it. You walk into IKEA, you walk into Walmart, you walk into the old Kmart, all of these, build-a-box stores, and you see all these people that are going to the thrift stores and they're doing these arts and crafts, but now you're using chemicals, right? If you're painting with latex or the houses that had lead inside them, can you imagine all of those houses in the Pacific Palisades that were burnt down that had asbestos and lead inside of it, and now it's floating down into Malibu and it's getting in? The perfect time of the year in California is to open up your windows, let the fresh air come inside. So where we come in is not trying to come from a point of doom and gloom.
right.
I tell most people some of the most important things that you can do in your home without purchasing one of my units is stop bringing chemicals into your home and
Yeah,
go out and buy some
yeah,
plants, right? You've got the mother-in-law's tongue, which is the snake plant. You've got the peace lily. There's a lot of things that will convert CO2 into oxygen at night and will also help remove pollutants inside of the home. So there's lots of good things that we can do. And the best part about the snake plant is it's like a cockroach or a Twinkie. It'll literally make it through a nuclear explosion. I don't think you can kill those things.
Literally have one behind me.
I was gonna say you've got the mother-in-law's tongue right there over your right shoulder, so you get it, you know. And you know, if you forget to water a child, the child dies. If you forget to water the snake plant, it multiplies and invites its cousins to come and move in. So it's not about trying to make sales, but when you start understanding how important the removal of something like a dioxin is, we have a technology that's called photocatalytic oxidation. So PCO is a very fancy way of saying we have a patented 254 nanometer UVX light that's encased inside of a quad metallic housing. That titanium dioxin or titanium dioxide coating that's in there, it does two things. It creates hydroxyls and it creates superoxide anions. What that means is when negative and positive meet, they kind of cancel each other out. So
Mm,
if you were remember when we were kids, or me as an adult who has children, play with magnets, right? When the negative and positive get to each other, they attract. The magnets will click. And if you flip it around and keep one the same, the positive and positive or negative and negative, it creates a force where it repels, right? So anything floating around inside of the home has a positive charge. And I don't care where you live in the United States or where you live in the world, turn off every single light inside your home and get one of those little laser pointers that you use to have the cats chase around. And if you do it at night when it's completely dark out and you do that beam, you could literally see all of the little floaters that are in your breathable airspace. So I've got news for you. If you can see it, you can breathe it,
yeah.
right? And what your nostril hairs and what your mucus membranes inside of your nose don't stop, it's going to go right into your lungs. And what
Mm,
gets into your lungs, anybody who understands what the lungs are, it's a pump. We're pumping blood into the heart, right? So the smaller the particle, the deeper it will get into your bloodstream.
right.
What our technology does is it removes that positive charge by sending out millions of negative ions. When you combine negative ions with photocatalytic oxidation, it creates a proactive purification without the use of any filters. So that's where
Mm,
people come into play. And we've got thousands and thousands of chiropractors, holistic doctors, and ENTs that are now big supporters of air water healing because the technology is proactive. We're not forgetting about the piece of chicken that you left out on the counter that could possibly lead to salmonella. We're going to go out and continue to oxidize not only the air, but the surfaces, the touch points where you have inside of the home.
wow. That is so fascinating. And it just gives me so much hope. It gives me so much hope for, you know, and you said a key word, preventative. I think a lot of people neglect the fact that, this is not, obviously it helps when you get to a point of, illness, disease, but this is a preventative measure. This is so like you don't have to get to that point. Like you don't have to suffer from illness, disease. Like this is to prevent you and your family, like you said, starts in the home with the mother and father
Mhm.
and just like how your mom brought you up, like that's amazing, and that's really what it comes down to is we need to get educated, we need to start utilizing these types of products in the home, and as simple as also plants, like just load up your home with plants and they give you such good energy also.
Unbelievable. Like I have not been able to like really dig deep into it, but I can tell you from the studies that I have read there is such a connection between the plant realm and the spirit realm
Mm,
and where we're at. Like there's studies that say that plants can sense their owners when they're like 2 kilometers away from the home. Like if they've been gone like away in another country or another state, you get back and like the plants like they can track like the energy like that it emits and plants can communicate with each other. Other cross species can say, "Hey, there's a contaminant in the air. It's time to start doing this." And
wow.
what they can do, and not only that, but like there's a guy I can't remember where or what type of crop it was. I want to say that it was either corn. It was either corn or maybe it was sunflowers. Maybe it was sunflower seeds, but there was a farmer and he would go out in like a certain area every day, and he would bring his chair and he would go out there and play the acoustic guitar for his plants. And he's like within 30 feet of where I would play for 30 minutes every day, the crops were 40% bigger. And it's just like that vibrational connection. And for people that are like, oh, sound healing is it's so witchcraft and so space agey, it's like, well, no, when you start thinking
Mm-mm.
about vibrating at a cellular level, everything has a frequency, everything has an energetic value to it. And a lot of the supplements that we manufacture through Global Healing, our apparent manufacturer, everything that they do is energetic, like from playing frequencies. Like I have never seen in my entire life a warehouse that houses raw material that's using Savaggio frequencies and playing music for all of the milk thistle in the bags that come in. And when you walk into a facility and they've got like, let's just call it a 700 square foot quarantine area where it literally looks like the scene from E.T. when they've got the big tarps up and like vacuum and people walking around with like hazmat suits. And it's like, what are they doing? And they're like, oh, just testing because we third party test it, the manufacturer test it, and then we test it in house to make sure that it's the highest quality. And the guy's like, we've gotten so good at this that they will only send us the best of the best. And I was like, oh yeah, I was like Men in Black, right? Best of the best, sir. And like, he just started laughing and he's like, Michael, you're a goofball. He goes, but I love you. He goes, yes, that's exactly what it is. And when you see somebody that puts that much passion into their plants, into their products, and to like go to their like employee room where they've got like vibro acoustic and brain tap headsets, and they're like, if you're having a bad day, check out and go home. Don't touch the raw material. Don't put bad energy. And it's just
I
all
love
about
that.
it's all about he has the first certified organic manufacturing facility in the world. Like all of the drywall that they brought in was like non-toxic.
Love
Like
that.
all of the epoxy floors that they did was with like an organic resin.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just like even the light bulbs that they do, the energy that they put in, like they put Faraday cages around the whole manufacturing facility. And I'm like, it was like anybody that goes to that extreme, they're not about the money, they're about quality.
1,000%. And I've interviewed a lot of people that have supplement companies and lines, and I have not heard one of them mention vibroacoustics. And I actually wrote about vibroacoustic healing in my first book, and it was specifically about how much it can help with like pain reduction, and also the fact that now research is showing us that a specific frequency can literally kill cancer cells. Like that's incredible.
Um,
I mean, come on now. So it's like let's this I see where this train is going and I'm very excited.
yeah, well, I'll mention his name because the only person that can judge me is Jesus Christ, right?
Yep.
And I don't bring religion into everything, but everybody's welcome on anybody's podcast. The logo over my right, I put the cross, and I put the cross right in the water where he performed his first miracle. And I don't push religion on absolutely anybody, but
Right.
I will never deny my faith. I've been on some podcasts before where people are like, okay, it's not that kind of podcast. I go, perfect. Well, I'm not going to change who I am. But
Right.
but I will say, when it comes to healing, there's two types of doctors. There's ones that want to make a profit, and there's ones that want to make people's lives different. And I can tell you when I meet people, whether they're a neuroscientist or whether they're a cancer doctor, and they say, Mike, I can't join your affiliate program because the margins just aren't quite there. And I go, I can promise you this, doctor, if you're buying milk thistle for $4 and you're selling it for 40, you ain't healing nobody.
Correct.
Because you have to have raw material. You have to be able to make sure that what you're putting inside of the body is organic, it's non-GMO, and you have to be able to see the energetic testing. When I tell you that I spent 2 days out in Arizona touring the facility before we decided to put these supplements on our website, I watched a man who would spend thousands and thousands of dollars on every raw material doing Carillion photography. And that's where they look at the energetic value of a plant. If you've never
Wow.
watched videos of Carillion photography, you could literally take a leaf and you could cut it in half, and then you could see the energetic connection of where the piece of the leaf was missing, where it's still there.
Wow.
And that right there, like you mentioned frequencies, Royal Raymond Rife was a guy who had taken very terminally ill people and reversed their cancers using specific frequencies.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't want to talk about it, but a lot of things that are diagnosed as cancers are actually parasites. A lot of it can be parasitic in the body. So, and I'm not sitting here trying to say that there aren't people out there that have actual debilitating diseases that have led to cancer, but
Mm-hmm.
I am the more and more that I research, and again, not a doctor, but the more and more research that is coming out, I truly believe that cancer is actually trying to save you. I don't think cancer is trying to kill you. I think cancer is a body's mechanism where they say, hey, we found something foreign, or we found a toxin, or we found a parasite, or we found something that doesn't quite belong in the body. So we're going to envelop it. We're going to try to trap it here. And if you don't change your lifestyle, that little thing starts to turn into a tumor. And it starts to grow. It starts to grow. It starts to grow. So you can go do any type of medicine you want, holistic. You can do allopathic. You can do aged urine therapy. You can do intermittent fasting. There's a lot of different things you can do. But if you don't change the energetic value of your life and you don't
Mm-hmm.
change that toxic external environment or what
Mm-hmm.
led to the cancer, I think that, it's very apparent that things will come back, right? When people say that you're in remission, well, if you get into the stage where you're in remission and then go back to doing the same thing that you did before, that's like the definition of idiocracy.
I talk about this all the time. You took the words right out of my mouth. I've also been doing a lot of research. And I don't know if you knew this. I'm a two-time cancer survivor, and like it's like a goldfish, right? If the goldfish is in dirty water and it's getting sick, you take the goldfish out, you clean the water, you put it back in, the goldfish gets better. You cannot heal in the same environment you got sick in. It's absolutely not possible. You have to change your lifestyle. I want to switch gears real quick because I've been hearing a lot about methylene blue.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing a little bit of research on it, and I've been hearing how much it can help with cancer and how it has like those anti-cancer properties. So can you, because I saw it on the website, can you talk to me a little bit about methylene blue and how that's helpful for anyone who's going through that?
So, did you watch the interview with Mel Gibson
Yes, that's
and
why I'm bringing
and
it up. Joe
okay,
Rogan.
so
Yeah,
so Joe Rogan and Mel Gibson, and I'm not a doctor, okay? But I
right.
remember I remember I shared it with my partner because I got so excited when Mel Gibson was like, he's like, I have four friends. He
Yeah,
goes, they all had stage 4 cancer, and he goes, they don't have cancer anymore.
right.
And what he was talking about Fimbin, which is Fimbendazole. He was
Mm-hmm.
talking about ivermectin,
Mm-hmm.
which is also a anti-parasite.
Yep.
Um, they were also talking about another supplement that shall not be named. Um, I have a couple of friends that have gotten into a lot of trouble
Trouble.
with
Yeah.
mentioning that other one, but
Yeah.
methylene blue, believe it or not, it's not even a food source. It's a dye.
Yeah.
So the dye that a lot of people, and again, when you go on our website, you'll see that our methylene blue is actually put into a pharmaceutical grade water. So it's triple
Mm.
distilled biophotonic. We do put it in the glass jar, but when you start combining these things together, and I will let everybody know, if you take methylene blue, you are going to pee like a Smurf. So don't be worried about it. My brother-in-law, I'm sure he wouldn't mind me sharing this, but I won't mention his name because I don't know if like any certain supplements are not allowed when you're an airline pilot. But
Mm.
he told me, he goes, dude, he goes, I went to the airport. He goes, I had to go to the urinal, and he goes, I literally was peeing green, and yeah, I was like, that's okay. There was another study that was done on methylene blue, and I was gonna share it with you.
Mm.
If I can pull it up on my phone real quick, because you caught me, but I like being caught by surprise because It's really good.
I saw it
Um,
and I saw it on the website and I immediately was like, "Oh my God, I have to bring this up because it's been everywhere." And I don't know too much about it, but I think it's fascinating that now it's getting some limelight, you know. Um, but my first question before you even get into the study is, do people take this as like a preventative thing, or is it when they're like, dealing with chronic illness, disease?
so I'm gonna say that most people start reserving. I don't think anybody's ever, started really looking into methylene blue until it got national attention, right? So
Yeah,
there was a couple other people that were mentioning it, but I can tell you that very much the Joe Rogan effect is very real, right?
very real.
So I'll share real quick before I dive into methylene blue. I have a very good friend of mine, and I've known him since before his company became like ultra uber elite and wealthy. I won't mention his name, but he has a hydrogen water company.
Yeah.
And when Gary Brecka went on Joe Rogan to talk about hydrogen water, it changed the entire industry overnight. Everybody was like, "What do I got to know about this?" And
Yep.
it kind of reminds me like you know, everybody thought that Paul Revere was a conspiracy theorist when he was like, the British are coming, the British are coming. And they're like, all right, dude, you've been saying this. And then when the British came, they were like, oh, Paul Revere's right. So this doctor had been screaming about hydrogen water for a long time. And it took national television to actually be,
Recognize.
brought into the limelight.
Yeah.
So I can tell you that methylene blue is an antidote for poisoning. It's
Okay.
also really good at a cellular level. There's a very small battery pack that is inside of our body called the mitochondria. The mitochondria is the most important thing for life. That and probably nitric oxide, right? Because nitric oxide is the third most bioavailable gas in our respiratory cycle. So what happens is methylene blue starts to signal to the mitochondria and it allows the mitochondria to do its job more efficiently. Now,
Mm,
again, with me not being a doctor, I am not going to sit here and say that combining methylene blue with ivermectin and these other things had anything to do with Mel Gibson's friends who no longer have stage 4 cancer. But
right.
there are a lot of people, the Hope for Cancer, holistic places, the places out in Tijuana that are now taking methylene blue and they're putting it into saline and they're doing IV drips
Yeah.
with methylene blue. And we're talking like large amounts. And I think that the more and more research that comes out about methylene blue, people are going to start putting it into their diet.
Yeah.
I literally have a bottle of it inside my bathroom right now. And my trick is I take the organic vegetable capsules and I put 20 drops in it.
Okay.
And then I swallow it so that way my teeth don't get blue like a Smurf.
Right.
Or you can put 20 drops in a glass of water.
Okay.
Um, but methylene blue is blowing up right now. Like you watch one video on social, and now you're getting served up everybody's testimonies about methylene blue.
Yeah.
Um, but another thing too that and again, your podcast is all about being open and being energetic. I will say the one thing that Joe Rogan has not touched, and I am not by any mean an expert in this, but I want to share it. Have you heard of the Hungza people or the Hungza tribe?
I have. I haven't done enough research on them, but I've heard of them.
Okay. And I believe I'm pronouncing it right, but the Hungza tribe are I believe it's like the eastern side of Pakistan. Like, I think they're like very close to like a mountain range, and they're notorious for being one of the only indigenous people that they have never found cancer in any of their tribe members. And their main source of income is their apricot farmers.
Mm.
And the inside of the apricot has a pit. On the inside of the pit, there are two little seeds that are in there that resemble an almond. It looks like it's about the size of an almond. And
Mm-hmm.
and again, without Michael being a doctor, I will just say that there has been thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of stories that have been shared online with people consuming apricot seeds that our big brother who likes to watch everything that we say and fact check everything that we do will say, oh no, apricot seeds are toxic. It'll lead to arsenic. It is arsenic poisoning. I have been at conferences where I've seen a man take 40 apricot seeds and in one sitting throw them in his mouth and eat it. And that's something else that now we have to be more conscious about the industrialization of ripping down forest and ripping down plants. Like I have a feeling like we're gonna get to God and be like, why did you allow all of this to happen? And he'll be like, hey, dummy, I gave you everything you needed, but you guys built concrete jungles and you got rid of all the seeds and stuff that I put there to be
Yep.
able to reverse everything that could ever possibly happen because I'm infinite and full of knowledge and I knew all of this would happen, but you guys needed more, more, more. And as you
Yep.
expanded the coastline, you got rid of the dandelions, and that was what you needed in the milk thistle to
Yep.
nebulize it to get rid of bronchial infections. And it's just when does the buck stop, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I've heard of the apricot seeds as well, especially for those who are really like number one, if they are scared because it runs genetically in, whatever. And I've done some research on the apricot seeds as well, and I've heard similar things. So I'm glad you brought that up. I don't know why it's such a like hush hush secret. It's like do your own research. Like if you want to try it, try it. If you don't, don't. Like you know, you can lead a horse to water, but can't make him drink it, kind of thing. So I'm glad you brought that up. But I mean, we could talk for hours about this.
So one last thing that I'll throw is inflammation is one of the number one causes of disease in the body.
Yep.
I believe not a lot of doctors would even disagree
Right.
that inflammation
Correct.
starts and leads to disease in the body. So if you look at it as a redox indicator, methylene blue has an oxidation reduction potential, which is absolutely incredible. So the only other thing that I really, really support, other than the supplements, is our hydrogen water line. So
Yes.
the hydrogen water that we carry, it is probably the most tested hydrogen water on the market. There's over 1,400 clinical studies of hydrogen gas. And I will be very clear. Yes, to all of your listeners and all of your viewers, there is hydrogen in water. How much of it is available depends on how much hydrogen gas you dissolve into the water. So
Mm,
you can go buy a multi-million dollar testing laboratory or you can get a cheap $30 tester on Amazon. And if you do the ppm, which is parts per million, and you get city water, faucet water, any bottled water that you buy in the store, and you put a tester in there, it is going to show you that there is absolutely zero parts per million of hydrogen because the H2O is two parts of hydrogen, one part of oxygen. They cancel each other out and they make this beautiful liquid that we could not live on this planet without.
right.
What what the hydrogen company that we work with, which is Echo, and I know people that are listening to your podcast won't be able to watch it, but I'll just show you. So
Yeah,
this
guys,
is
if you could see the video on YouTube or Spotify. He's showing
yeah.
us now.
So what this little guy does is it takes the oxygen out of the bottom. So there's a little chamber there where
Mm,
you won't be able to hear it, but it's actually hissing. And
mm,
what this does is it starts dissolving hydrogen gas into the water. And why that's important is because hydrogen is the smallest and most antioxidant um, material or atom that we have,
yeah,
right? So hydrogen is a gas, and it's also the number one antioxidant element in the world. So when you put that into your gut, what it starts doing for your body's ability to absorb nutrients, that alone is more important than any of the other claims that are out there. And there's a lot. I think there's 117 cancer studies alone on hydrogenstudies.com. So this isn't foo-foo. This isn't like some marketing ploy. This is people that are literally saying that it has changed their lives. And
yep,
when you've got 1,400 clinical studies that are like, hey, this is in vitro, in real life, in human samples, in mice samples, in monkey samples, all of the testing that they've done, they've seen unbelievable positive results. And how much ever water you drink a day right now, you can drink in hydrogen water. You can't overdose on this stuff.
right. Amazing. There is, man, guys. Go, Mike, where can people find all of these amazing products that you have?
So everything we house is on airwaterhealing.com. And all of our people that we bring in, we vet. So like our supplements, 1 year empty bottle money back guarantee. If you take it and it doesn't absolutely beat every other supplement you've ever take, I'll give you your money back. It's you won't find anything better. Like it's just the way that we source our vendors and the amount of stuff we go through, and that's what separates Air Water Healing from any other company. Like if somebody comes out and says, "Hey, I've got something better," we'll put it to the test, and if it's better, we'll replace it. I let all my people know, if there's a better hydrogen company, then we'll say bye-bye to this one.
Yeah.
We put it on there because it's the best. It has the most research and it's got the most validation. Not because it was on Joe Rogan. It was on my website way before Gary Brecka ever went on Joe Rogan to talk about hydrogen water. We
Mm.
already knew it. We had met at the guy. Me and my partner, before our daughter was born, we were at the Breakers Hotel and I bumped into the guy on accident. I
Wow.
went to go there for a friend of mine was a chiropractor and he had asked me to come by and drop off an air purifier because it was in the height of COVID. And I went there and started talking with the guy and I was like, I manufacture an alkaline ionizer and I compete with Kangen. I was like, I am not going to be schooled on hydrogen. And when this guy got done talking, I'm like, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Facts.
So
Facts.
I was just like, this guy has literally devoted his life. And if you want to talk about a man who's loyal, the man literally has more money than anybody I've ever known, and you could literally see women try to throw themselves. And the first thing he'll do is he'll share his story about his wife, my wife, and what she does. And I was like, the love that he has for her is the love that I want to have for that beautiful woman that's over there breastfeeding my baby right now.
Oh,
30 years from now, I want that to be that kind of love. And
yeah.
it's just like his wife got sick. So he figured out a way to make her better. And he found out that there was this bioavailable molecule called hydrogen, and if you injected it into the water without changing the alkalinity,
Yeah.
it'll be life changing. And that's a key point there. Without changing the alkalinity.
Wow, that is amazing. So it all starts with the story of someone getting so sick and you not having the answer to find out a way to get better, or allopathic medicine couldn't help you. So, I mean, this is amazing information. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm what a great conversation. You taught me so much.
Well, we have to continue to teach each other because we're just learning, right?
Yeah.
Everything that I've ever done was from my almighty maker. He's
Hmm.
brought me the people.
Yeah.
God gave me the gift to be able to talk and unapologetically say what's on my mind.
Yeah.
And now it's leading to greater conversations because I think that, healing starts with a conversation.
I completely agree with you. And the power of collaboration is unstoppable. So thank you so
Gosh,
much.
100%.
Yes.
Anytime, anytime.
Great conversation. We really appreciate it. I will put all of your information in the show notes. Thank you so much. Guys, if you like this episode, like, share, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.